Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Nights into Dreams playthrough. It's time to begin with Stick Canyon, which is Elliot's penultimate level, which is quite nice. I should point out that the music for Claws in the last part was Eleki Sparkle, and the music for Stick Canyon is under construction. And I have to say, Stick Canyon is easily the most challenging level in the game, because there's a lot kind of areas that are sort of maze-like, really. It's more the case in like the final mare than anything else, but yeah, I just find this level really confusing. I'm not a huge fan, but it does hold a very important place in Nights into Dreams' kind of re-release, because what happened was that at some point during 2012, SEGA released on one of their social media accounts, or it might have just been through to the press, they released an image that was of Stick Canyon. And people were kind of just like, oh, because it was much higher quality than like any of the original artwork that people had kind of had on the internet for a while. And everyone was just like, what does this mean? What it meant was that Nights into Dreams was getting a HD re-release, which was, I think, very, very well received. And the game did end up receiving, I think, pretty reasonable reviews for the HD re-release anyway. I mean, when the game originally came out, it was getting like 8s and 9s, and basically it's sitting at 89% on game rankings. So it did very well, because at the time this came out, it was very, very unique. And there was kind of nothing out there like it, and like the animation was just like really highly praised. People really liked Nights. It's a reason why the character has sort of become a more cult favourite among like Sega's franchises, because, well, really, Nights is one of the only other characters that has had any sort of longevity outside of Sonic, I suppose. I mean, I suppose you have got the same, a similar situation with Ulala from Space Channel 5. And I mean, I suppose the Super Monkey Ball franchise is probably, well, it is more successful than Nights. But people really do like Nights. I think there's just something about the character and the world of the games that people just connect with it, really. And that makes me happy. Now, this is the bit that I was talking about hating. It's just because you've just got to keep going up, but it's just like, I can't see these things falling from above to hit me, so I can't get out of the way necessarily fast enough. And it's just so easy to lose time here that it's just like, no, what are you doing to me? And this is actually going to be the first level that I run out of time on, because now it's kind of a race back to the Idea Palace. But we are certainly not going to be making it back in time on this, because it only goes at a set speed, which is really frustrating. If it had just been one, I think we probably would have been fine, but nope, we have 2 of these blighters to go on. And while I think we are going to end up being close to the Idea Palace, close is only good in horseshoes. And there we go, we've lost knights. And very quite literally have turned back into Elliot. Then we lose all of our blue chips, which I am now going to frantically try to recollect because I need it. And then it's time to run back to the Idea Palace because let's just finish this mare and get out of here. And now we get one of my favourite characters in Knights, Riala. And Riala's actually the only character in this game to speak. The way you defeat him is power looping and drill dashing. He's going to die pretty quickly. But I love the character. He's a great kind of contrast to Knights. And I know I'm using he when Riala's genderless as well, but it's that whole thing I was talking about before. But yeah, he's the one of 2 characters in the series to have spoken a line in every game he's appeared in, barring Sonic Pinball Party. The only character whose voice actor is different with each appearance, and the character with the most voice actors, which is currently 3. Now, it's been confirmed in an interview with Yuji Naka that the spoken words before Riala's fight are Beati Kia Noah Knights, which according to Naka means "Let's go Knights" in a fictional language created for the game setting and partially based on Japanese slang. Did cause a lot of confusion though, and speculation among the English-speaking audience, as the line sounded like "There is no knights," which is slightly terrifying, but also an interesting point is that Riala's name may actually be based on the word reality, which is obviously the opposite of what is dreamed or imagined, so kind of it's a nice counterpoint to Knights, who is very much the dream character, to have an enemy that is kind of sort of centred on reality, I suppose. But either way, it's time for Elliot's version of Twin Seeds, and once again we have the wonderful growing wings. I just adore this level, this song, just best levels in the game. And I will keep repeating that until cows come home. Although that said, sort of, I was a bit of a failure in Elliot's version here, because I didn't collect those 2 blue chips, and so ended up having to faff about before I could go to the idea capture, and that meant I didn't get an A here, which was just really sad. But yeah, what you're going to want to do is collect every single blue chip on a lap. Otherwise, you're not really going to be able to make it through to the end successfully. Because there are only a set number of blue chips on each lap. So, just be aware of that. Also, if I recall correctly, we're going to end up with a rather, how shall I put it? Tight end to this level, and by that I mean like the time limit is going to be really, really, really low by the time I get to the end. It's because I was faffing about as much as I was, so it's entirely my own fault that I ended up in this situation. But either way, there is hope yet. So there we go, Mare 3 done, time for the final mare, and as you can see we have only 28 seconds to complete this. So, 15 seconds, this is, as I said, getting really ridiculously tight. And now I just need to get to that idiot capture, like, pronto. So, with 3 seconds to spare, I've beaten the level! Yay! And so, all that we need to do is beat Wizeman once more, and then the game is basically beaten. I did tell you it was a very short level. Very short level, very short game. But I wanted to be able to cover it because I want to have covered the entirety of the Knights series. Because it has got a lot of importance to me, and why the hell not, in the long run, really? Also, it's a nice kind of short game to start the year on, so let's go with that. Now, I have to say that this run of Wizeman isn't as smooth as Claris's run was, but then again, this is my second fight against Wizeman rather than my third, so you can forgive me for being not quite as on the ball as I was then. But yeah, the boss fight is exactly the same, so if you were a little bit lost or a little bit confused last time, you've got plenty of time to get to grips with Wizeman over the course of the game. At least if you want the true ending, because you fight him 3 times, so it makes sense. Anyway, that should also be a wonderful A rank. Not quite as good an A rank as Claris's, but an A rank nonetheless. And I am perfectly happy with that. And now we get to see Elliot's ending! Yay! But obviously, if you saw Claris's story, you can tell how this is probably going to go. And now we get kind of the true ending once again. Very little has changed in it, really. And it's still kind of lovely, and everyone lives happily ever after. The bit at the end where they kind of are transported to Spring Valley, there is the suggestion, well, the potential implication that Elliot and Claris achieved their successes in a dream, or it could just be that the dreams become a reality. I don't know. It depends how you want to look at things, really, and whether you want to try and add that much complexity to the plot. Because it makes about as much sense as a dream would anyway, so it's up to you, really. And there we go, all done. And we get to listen to the original version of Dream Streams, the adult version, which is far superior and just generally wonderful. So I suppose I should use kind of these credits just to talk about my general thoughts on Nights into Dreams. I enjoy it, it's a good game. I think, well, I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the sequel turned out, although I know that I am kind of relatively isolated in that opinion. I know that there are people who agree with me, but the general reaction is that Nights into Dreams is the better game. I don't agree with that, but that is up to other people. Also, oh, I've got to listen to this again. I thought we got the wonderful adult version. Oh well. But yeah, there is a lot to like about Into Dreams. It's fun, it's colourful, it's kind of very replayable. I mean, that's the entire point. The game wants you to replay levels, get better at them, find the paths, and so on. But I don't know, I've just not got the desire to get that invested in the game, really. I think perhaps had I played Into Dreams first, I would have had a different reaction to Journey of Dreams. I don't know. I think it may be an issue of how I like my games. In that I like my games with kind of reasonably well thought out narratives. They don't have to be complex, but they have to kind of have a kind of follow through, make sense, that sort of thing. But also I like games that make it clear what they want you to do. Because Night in Dreams doesn't always make it clear what it wants from you. And that can end up in frustrating situations, really. And also just some of the bosses and levels aren't entirely excellent. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, Journey of Dreams isn't like one of the most excellent games of all time. It's actually pretty average in the long run, but I think it's a much tighter, more well-constructed game with kind of more fleshed out ideas. And I think that's what Into Dreams needed a little more kind of fleshing out and filling up to make it kind of truly special, for me anyway. But enough of the negativity. It's a fun game, music's really wonderful still, and really, if you get the chance, I would certainly recommend you go out and try it. The HD version does also have kind of a SEGA Saturn mode available in it, So if you wanted to experience the game as it was originally intended, that's there. Don't think the mechanics are exactly the same. There's a slight, I think, shift in the physics, but that's certainly one way to play the game. Or you can just play it like I did, and it's still a fun experience. And NiGHTS is one of those games that is kind of there in the canon of video games, and there's not really been anything before, or well, there wasn't anything like it before, and there hasn't really been anything like it since. So it has made its mark in that nobody has tried to touch this kind of gameplay style, because I don't think anybody thought they could do it justice. I think they probably could, but it's certainly why Yuji Naka never wanted to kind of try and expand on this too much, because he felt that Into Dreams was just too perfect. I respectfully disagree, but either way, that is the end of NiGHTS Into Dreams. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you join me for the extras video. See you then.